So you've been having dreams about death, and you know that they're important and they hold a significant meaning, but you just can't put your finger on it. Well, let's figure it out together. There are some dreams that people get wrong over and over again, and death has to be in the top 10 dreams that I see misinterpreted on the internet. And that's because people just really don't understand the way that their unconscious and emotional brain works. They take a very literal approach to things and sometimes a spiritual approach to things, and both just totally miss the meaning of death. So in this video, we're going to talk about the two basic meanings of death and, based on the different contexts, how you might need to reinterpret those for your particular dream. So this is your kind of definitive answers on death dreams and what they mean for you personally. I think the most surprising thing, and stay till the end, because death dreams hold a really positive message ultimately, and most people miss that positive message, and that's what I'm hoping to come across in this video. If you like dreams and understanding what your mind is trying to tell you while you sleep, do me a favor and punch that subscribe button right in the face, kind of the way that you wish you would be able to in your dreams if your punches weren't so slow. You know what I mean? Okay, death. Death has two basic meanings inside of your dreams. One is a sad meaning. It's grief, it's loss, it's letting go of something. And really, death is all about that. Something has come to an end. It's the closing of a chapter. Numerologically, it symbolizes the number 9. The number 9 is an ending of a series, and death is the ending of a series. But the second interpretation is new life. And with the promise of death comes the expectation of new life. And so you have to understand that those two pieces come together. You see, your unconscious mind, your emotional self, doesn't think of things in a duality, right? Your conscious mind thinks of things very literally, very statically, but your emotional self is all about integration, connection, relationships. So what I mean by that is your emotional self and your dreaming mind cannot and does not think about death without also thinking about the rebirth and the renewal process that comes along with it. However, when you wake up, you have the image of death and you start to think about it literally, because now your prefrontal cortex is activated, those analytical and critical parts of your mind are firing, and you miss the deeper and actual really hopeful meaning of a death dream. Now, before you go thinking that's the end of it, there's two things that you need to understand about context of death dream: internal and external. There's a difference based on if you are dying or if somebody else around you, an animal, a thing, a family member, is dying. So let's start with you, right? That's what you're here for, you. If you are dying in a dream, it has to do with letting go of a part of your identity. There is a chapter of your life. There's a relationship, a job, a career, or maybe some goal or expectation that you had for yourself that needs to be let go. This will often happen at very pivotal moments in life transition. So high school to college, college to working life, going from single to being in a relationship, before you have your first child. These big turning points in your life will often be accompanied with death dreams, because it's the loss of one chapter of your life in order to make way for a new chapter of your life. So, for example, it would be very normal for me to dream about dying right before I became a father, because the non-father Jesse is dead now, and there's a new Jesse, the father Jesse, which is very different in some ways, but still maintains the basic core character of who I am. The same thing is happening to you. And that's why stress can often induce death dreams. Anxiety can be a big part of this. There's some real fear and some real hesitation about moving from one chapter to a new chapter, because especially when you get to the number 9 in numerology and you get to that ending stage of a chapter of your life, you really know that chapter very well. I mean, by the time you get to a senior in college, you really kind of understand the college vibe, how to go about your routine, how to schedule stuff, how to make friends, how to talk to people. I mean, at least hopefully. But you kind of had these 4 years of experience, and now you've got to start all over. How do you go work a job? How do you make friends with the boss and your coworkers? How do you progress through that corporate ladder, or whatever it is, or start your own business? It's a whole new thing, and you kind of have to go back to zero and start all over again, which can be very stressful and very scary. But if you're experiencing this amount of stress and scary, it also comes with that same amount and same intensity of new opportunity. When you're a senior in college, you've run your course. The field is over. The course has been done. There's not a lot of things left to really figure out and do. So it is time to let that era die and start your new era. That is when these death dreams come in. And so when you're talking about internal death dreams, when you're dying in the dream, it's letting go of an old identity and starting a new one. But what about outside death dreams where somebody else or something is dying around you? I really like to focus on change with dreams that are happening of death outside of us. Something about your relationship to that thing or what that thing symbolizes is fundamentally changing. Now, this is great news if you had a dream about your parents or relatives or your children dying. It's not that they are literally dying. You're fine. I mean, there are very small times where you can have premonition dreams where you know that somebody's not doing well and maybe your mind is actually able to predict them going into the hospital, but I don't want to put that fear inside of your mind. That's a very small percentage of the time. So, I mean, if you do have a death dream about someone that you love, give them a call. You may just want to check in with them and at least, tell them you love them because that never hurts. But overwhelmingly, the majority of the time, it is a symbol of change. Your relationship with that person is changing. So, for example, if I were to move out of my house with my parents, right? I'm like teenage Jesse, I'm getting my first job, I'm ready to move out. I might have a dream about my parents dying and me being sad about them dying because in some ways they are dying and my relationship with them is going to fundamentally change. And now I'm relating to them in more of a peer-to-peer kind of way instead of me living inside of their house and I am still under their domain. I'm still under their authority because I live inside of their house. Now, this can also happen in the reverse, where parents very, very often will dream about the death of their children. Again, not because they're going to die, but because that relationship is fundamentally changing. You see this at huge life transition moments. I cannot tell you the number of times I've talked to parents who have a dream about their infant dying in some terrible, horrible, graphic way because that infant is turning into a toddler or they're going into first grade. And so it's like, oh, my baby is dying. In some ways, that's true. The baby is dead because now they're a kindergartner and they're of elementary school age, which is so exciting and a huge opportunity for both the child and the parent. But you have to process that grief of my baby's gone. I got a little boy or a little girl here who's going about their life now, which is beautiful and amazing, but there's still some sadness that comes with it. I mean, as we watch children grow up, I'm experiencing it even now, just being a recent dad. Like, my little guy is no longer like an infant that can't do anything on his own. He's starting to be able to like find his toes and grab things that he wants. And he's starting to eat like mushy food. It's so cute. But the infant stage is gone. And I had a dream about Oliver drowning in a pool because of that very change. He's growing up. So again, I want to encourage everybody. Death is not a bad dream. It comes with the promise of new life and new opportunity. But it's important to recognize the grief and the sadness that we may feel about letting go of that chapter of our life. Now, the final thing is sometimes this can get very metaphorical. Let's say that you see a dead cat or a dead dog or a dead person on the side of the road inside of your dream. What does that mean? This can be very much a sad dream about the first point, which is grief and loss. So each of these animals are going to symbolize something different. Let's say that you have a dog that you come across who's dead on the side of the road inside of your dream. That dog typically will symbolize unconditional love and friendship. Dogs love their owners no matter what. I mean, you could be the worst person in the world and your dog will love the shit out of you. That's just how dogs work, and we do not deserve them as humans, I swear to God. So seeing a dead dog may mean that you're feeling a loss and you're feeling grief about not being loved, not having friendship, and perhaps not loving yourself unconditionally. So there's this loss and this grief about not having what that animal symbolizes for you. Owls symbolize wisdom. So if you saw a dead owl, that's a bad sign. It means a loss of wisdom, a loss of insight and vision into your life. So these very much can be warnings from your mind. Hey, we are missing something fundamental and important here that we need to get back into our life. Now, let's say that it's a little bit more intense and you come across a person who has been murdered. This can very much be a loss of an identity. There is a part of you, a character inside of your soul that has been murdered, that has been lost, and your mind may be warning you, hey, either you killed that person off because you were very mean, shameful, and guilty feeling about yourself, or something in your environment has killed this person off. Let's say that you're in a very stressful job, right? And you come across a murdered child on the side of the road or somewhere in your living room in your house. Makes sense, right? You're so stressed and so analytical and working so hard in your career that there's no space for your inner child to love, laugh, and play. Live, laugh, love. God, I hate that saying so much. But you get what I'm saying. There's no space for that inner child to just be a child and to play. And so, in a sense, you kind of killed it off. That child is dead inside of you because you've been so stressed and so critical of yourself over here. That pretty much wraps it up. Those are the two basic meanings, grief and loss, and the promise of renewal, and how you might see them in different contexts. If there's one that I missed out, please put it in the comments down below and let me know what you think. This is a conversation, and I really enjoy the comments on these videos. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm talking into the abyss, and so even if you have just a really silly thought, I would love to hear it. I would love to respond. Let's have a conversation. Join me on Discord if you want to have an even greater conversation, but I'll see you in the next video, and I hope that you remember your mind's not against you. It's just misunderstood, and I'm here to help you figure that out. Bye.